Hello, folks. Welcome to the Canal Channel Jose. Today we got a topic about the oils, oil too thin or oil too thick. So we're gonna clarify something before we start. We're not professional mechanics or ASE certified. We're not mechanics from a dealer. We're not fabricators, or we don't work in making engines on designing. So we're just sharing our personal and our learning that we have gone through life about oils. And today we're just going to show you, we're going to explain our personal point of view and what we use and what we don't use. So that way you can see what we do and what we use. So today we got four different oils. We got a 530, 1030, 1040, and 2050. There's four oils on these tubes. We have covered up the other oils that we have done for our previous video. So that way we're going to expose the thickness of these four oils, so that way you can see why we don't use 2050 on an engine that should take 530. So if it should require 530, we go 530. So one thing we want to say, which one is the best oil for your engine? So we want to clarify this. The best thing you can do is follow the manufacturer's recommendation. If they require 020, use 020. If they require full synthetic, use full synthetic. If they require other source of weight, follow their advice and use whatever oil they recommend. Because if you start hearing all these noises that are out there, this oil, this brand, this cheaper, expensive, and then you just get surrounded by these noises, put those noises aside and follow the manufacturer's recommendation, and you will not go wrong. And if you are one of those persons who take your car to the dealer to get an oil change, you're just doing just fine, because they're taking care of your car and they're adding the right oil to your engine, and you don't have to worry about what kind of oil you should take, because they're taking care of your car and they know what they're doing. But if you want to do it at home and you're seeing all these oils, these brands, and then you go to auto parts and you see just a shelf full of a wall full of oil, and then you just start looking at the prices, and this is the best color, looks good over here, and then you just get confused and you start buying some oil that shouldn't be going into your engine just because people tell you. So the first thing you want to do is you want to check the manufacturer's recommendation. And the other thing you can do is look at the oil cap on the engine, and most of the time they got the weight of the oil that that engine should take. For example, it should read 020, 1030. But also be careful, because if that cap has been swapped and it has a different cap that fit in there, but it's from a different engine, and that engine took a different oil, and you follow that oil weight because the cap says it, you might even ruin your engine. So you want to be careful on that. That's why you got to go to the source. You want to go to the manufacturer's recommendation, and you keep doing that, so that way you never go wrong. But if you have a car that has so many miles and your car cannot take the original oil weight, and now you want to go a little bit more heavier because it's burning some oil, so just go the next number up. Don't jump from 020 to 2050, because you're doing a big damage to your engine by adding 2050. The thing about the thin oils is that the oil pump, when you take your car and you park it overnight and you get up the next morning, and all that oil throughout the night just went down and receded on the lowest part of the engine, which is the oil pan, and is waiting there just to be sucked up by the oil pump, so it can start spreading itself on the top portion of the engine and start lubricating all the components, so that way your engine can lubricate itself as it starts running. But if you add that too thick oil, what that's going to create is going to create a problem, because every time that you turn on your car every morning, that oil is going to take so much time to get sucked by the oil pump and get pushed up and get pushed through all these little orifices. And by the time it makes it to the place where it needs to be, because there's going to have to be lubrication, those metals already gone through some friction. There's going to be a small amount of damage from each metal because of the friction, because that oil didn't make it on time or quick enough to that place so they could lubricate themselves. And it won't damage your engine at a short time. It's going to take so many years or so long before you start noticing that there's something wrong with your engine. So if you think that you're adding 2050 and you're doing a good thing for your engine, and your engine takes 530, you're actually doing something wrong or something bad to your engine, because that oil at the long run is going to do damage to your engine instead of protecting it, because it's like throwing molasses into your internals of your engine. Because these engines today, they're so well made and they're so precise that they're taking and they're making thinner oils to travel through the engine. And by the time that 2050 wants to make it through those orifices, it's too late, because it needs to be pushed through. It's so thick that the other oil that should be there, it should travel faster and get to the place where it needs to go and lubricate the engine, and it's not doing it. So that's why we don't recommend using 2050 when your car should take 530, because that's a big gap of oil weight that you're going from one to another. That's a big increase. Just go the next one, the next weight up, and also make sure that if it requires full synthetic, use full synthetic. Don't just add any conventional oil when your engine needs full synthetic, because that can do some damage to it as well. After all this talk, we just wanted to clarify and say that if your car takes 530, use 530 or 1030. Don't go too far and use 2050. That's oil for something else, bigger engines, bigger gaps. These cars now, they even making 016 oil, and these are engines are so precise that all these little openings, they require thin oil to travel through them so they can lubricate all these components on time. But if you add the 2050, you're just killing your engine from the inside out. So you don't want to do that. You want to follow the manufacturer's recommendation and you'll be okay. So today we're going to compare all these four oils by letting the bearing fall with gravity, so you can see how thick is the 530 versus the 2050, and there's a 1030 and 1040 between. So let's show you that after all this explanation that we have done. Okay, folks, so we're going to expose 530, 1030, 1040, 2050. And we're going to release the magnet, or we're going to get the magnet away so you can see the bearings falling through on those different weights. And with that said, let's do that so you can see the thicker from the thinner. As you could see, the thicker oil, which is a 2050, it took a lot longer for the bearing to go through that oil because it's pretty thick. So imagine when you start your engine, for that oil to actually fill up all those gaps and flow through the engine to lubricate. So when it should have been 530 and you're adding that, that's going to be a lot of damage to your engine. Well, folks, hopefully this video was useful and helpful, and that's why we don't use 2050 on our car when it requires 530, because it's that oil 2050 is very thick and it's going to do a lot of damage on every cold startup, because that oil is going to take so long for it to lubricate the engine before that oil starts doing its job. This metal start making some friction, and then a long run is going to be some problems. That's why we keep using 530. And if we know that we need to use a little thicker oil, we just go 1040, because maybe it's burning it. But if we go 2050, then we should repair that engine or do something about it. If you got oil leaks on your engine, take care of those oil leaks so that way you don't start losing more oil, and you keep adding the right oil to your engine. And with that said, folks, for our friends who are watching our video, haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. If you like our video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here in el canal El Chano Jose.